Nice. Now, just 2 days of testing left for all the Formula One teams before they head to Australia for the start of the 2013 season. Rachel Brooks is at the Circuit de Catalunya, and Rachel, after 2 days of rain, it looks as though the conditions are somewhat better this morning.
Much better, John. I could confirm we could even get into double figures today. The sun is out and it's a blue sky. There is some cloud around, but the team's all expecting a full day's running today. No rain interruptions and no need for those wet or intermediate tyres that they've used an awful lot over the last 2 days. And in the car today, well, it's the last day of driving for most of the drivers out on the track today. In the Red Bull, it's Mark Webber back out on track after Sebastian Vettel was in the car yesterday. Sergio Perez is in the McLaren today, taking over from Jenson Button. Felipe Massa, we saw him early this morning, going across into the garage, and he's in the Ferrari today. When we spoke to Alonso yesterday, he said that car is 200 times better than the car he had in Australia. So Felipe Massa will be driving that today, and their final upgrades will arrive in Melbourne for the race. And then we saw Lewis Hamilton this morning. He left his motorhome and went across into the Mercedes garage, and he is having his last day of driving that new car before the race in Melbourne. And Lewis going into the garage there. Also today, I should tell you that Davide Valsecchi is replacing Kimi Raikkonen in the Lotus this morning. We've had Kimi Raikkonen might have a touch of food poisoning. He's certainly not feeling very well, and so Lotus have put their test driver Davide Valsecchi in the car, and he is the current GP2 champion. He won the series last year in 2012. He's their test driver, and he'll get a go in the car today. We're waiting to find out if Kimi will be well enough to be in that car this afternoon, but it'll be a blow to Kimi if he can't get in there and get some dry running before the Australian Grand Prix. And also today in the car, well, in the Marussia, is Jules Bianchi. Late last night, he was announced as their new driver. Lewis Razzia had got the seat, but unfortunately for him, one of his sponsors let him down, and so Marussia had to look elsewhere. And they filled the seat using Jules Bianchi, who was thought to be going to Force India. Force India went with Adrian Sutil, who's in their car today. Jules Bianchi got a very last-minute phone call to get into the Marussia seat, and we spoke to him last night just after the announcement.
It was a big surprise for me because after the announcement of Force India, I was not able to think that I was going to race this year in Formula One. So that's why, again, I really want to thank Marussia for the opportunity.
Do you know Maxwell, your new teammate?
Yeah, I know him from GP2. I raced with him 2 years, but I don't know him personally. I saw him on track, but I didn't speak much with him. So it will be really good to work with him. He's a really good driver, and I think we will do a good work.
So two very young drivers in that Marussia team, both rookies, but the team were very excited last night to have Jules Bianchi joining the ranks. And also last night, it's funny what happens late at night in the paddock, because we met the star of the paddock. Everyone's been waiting to meet this star, and we finally bumped into him last night. And I can show you now, these are pictures of Lewis Hamilton's dog, Roscoe. And Lewis has been tweeting about Roscoe ever since he got him, for months now. And Roscoe is in fact in Lewis's motorhome, which is behind me at the moment. And we bumped into him last night going for a little walk, and very, very cute. Lewis in very, very good form, full of smiles, and Roscoe even has a couple of unofficial Twitter accounts in his name as well. So the pictures that everyone, no doubt, has been waiting to see.
Oh, absolutely have. Rachel, thank you very much. Just 2 days of testing left for all the Formula One teams before they head to Australia for the start of the 2013 season. And Rachel Brooks is at the Circuit de Catalunya for us this morning. Good morning to you, Rachel.
Good morning, John. Yes, and the sun shines out, which is a welcome relief to everybody, teams and us in the media as well. It's been a very wet, cold, windy few days here, but the sun is out. Temperature should pick up a bit later, and I'm joined now by Max Chilton of the Marussia racing team. And Max, it must be a bit of a relief to you to finally have your teammate announced last night in Jules Bianchi.
Yeah, it was a bit of a last-minute deal, but it's nice to now know who my teammate is, and we can hopefully now work together and build the team. I think we've got a cracking car this year, and I'm really looking forward to be on the grid in Oz.
You do know him from racing against him. Do you know him very well?
I don't know him very well, but we've karted together since the age of probably 11 or 12 in JICA in Europe, and then we raced Formula 3 a couple of times against each other, and then raced GP2 against each other. So we've definitely raced against each other, and we know how each other work.
It's a bit of a surprise, hasn't it? I mean, this was announced last night. It was going to be Lewis Razzia, and then some sponsorship didn't come through for him, so unfortunately he didn't have the seat in the end. It all happened a bit quickly. How's that affected your preparations?
For me, it hasn't been affected. To me, it's probably been a bonus because I've had so much more time in the car. So I now feel really comfortable and ready. And it was good for the team to have a consistent driver to give the feedback instead of switching a driver every 2 days. So it hasn't been an issue, and I now feel really prepared, and that's a bonus.
You've got out of the car now, though, and the sun's come out. Will you get a chance to try it in the dry at all over the next 2 days?
Yeah, I'm hopefully in tomorrow afternoon, so we can practice our pit stops, which are kind of crucial, and maybe get a couple of new tyre runs in. So hopefully get a new tyre run in the dry before the rain hits.
In 2 weeks' time, 2 weeks tomorrow in fact, you'll start your first Formula 1 Grand Prix in Australia. What are you going to be doing between now and then?
Just preparing as much as possible, obviously trying to up my fitness all the way to the last minute, and also the simulator. I've never been to Australia, never driven the circuit, so it's really crucial the simulator session goes well, and I feel really prepared and knowing going into free practice one that I know everything and how to drive the circuit as well as I can.
How are you in simulators? We know some drivers get sick, but for you, you're going to have to do quite a bit of time in. You use the McLaren simulator, quite a bit of time in there to getting to know these circuits.
Yeah, no, it's crucial, simulators, because you don't get much running in a weekend with free practices, so you have to go into it knowing what to do already. So especially at a circuit I've never been to, I'll try to take the most out of it and have as much time in the simulator in that whole day I can.
How have you found your first Formula 1 pre-season testing?
It's been very busy and hectic, especially getting kind of 4 days on the trot sometimes instead of 2. So it's been very busy, and it's slightly strange being out of the car today, but I'm looking forward to getting back in tomorrow.
And you've been around the Formula 1 circuit. I mean, we saw you do a few Friday practice sessions for Marussia last year. What are you most looking forward to about this season?
Obviously, I got to know the team really well over last year, so I now feel part of the team, and hopefully we can have a good time. And the car behind us is really good this year, and we've only just started, so I think we're going to have a good, strong year. And obviously, Caterham are our main rivals, so hopefully we've got the edge on them, and we can have some really good race results.
All right, Max, thanks very much for joining us this morning. All the best. And Marussia, certainly a team with a feel-good factor around them at the moment. Jules Bianchi, the latest signing. It should be a good season for them. Max hoping to get back in the car in this sunshine tomorrow afternoon.
Thanks very much.
Just 2 days of testing left for all the Formula 1 teams before they head to Australia for the start of the 2013 season. And Rachel Brooks is at the Circuit de Catalunya. Morning, Rachel. We're midday through the first session today. What's happened so far?
Well, Alex, it's been a pretty good day for Lewis Hamilton so far. It's the first chance the teams have had to get some really good dry running on this track here in Barcelona. It's still a little bit chilly though, so a lot of the teams waiting for it to warm up a little bit more here. We're an hour ahead of you, and as we head towards midday, they're hoping that those temperatures will help them get some better data back from the cars out on track. But Lewis went out this morning, and he set the fastest lap now, despite, I can show you some pictures of a little slide from Lewis earlier on today, and this was about an hour ago, or just less than an hour ago, when he was out on track. But he's been chopping and changing the tyres on that Mercedes today, and since this slide that you're watching now, I can tell you that he set the fastest time on some prototype tyres for Pirelli that they've brought here. They're going to be the same as the 2013 soft tyres that the teams will have at races, but they've just come from a different factory, and so they haven't got any markings on them. But he set the fastest time on those, and then he's just been out again now on some medium tyres, and he's set another fastest lap. So topping the timesheets today, a good day for him so far. We've seen a few other slides as well, despite the fact we've got no rain here this morning. Bit of a lock-up from Felipe Massa earlier on in the Ferrari, and Fernando Alonso was asked yesterday in the press conference about any traction problems in that Ferrari, because a few of the journalists spotted some problems they thought with the Ferrari. But Felipe Massa today, just that little side from him, not going off into the gravel, not too serious. But Fernando Alonso said there are no problems with traction. You may have seen us on lap 24, yet on lap 28 the car was stuck to the track. So he says no problems with that. It just was a one-off there with Felipe Massa. And also say that we have had a suspension for a red flag. Now teams don't really want red flags today, because they really want to get some long runs in here. Teams will be trying to do race simulations, and we had a stop for the Caterham earlier on today. This was Guido van der Garde in the Caterham today, driving for them. A mechanical issue brought that Caterham to a stop out on track. He had a good look at the car once he'd got out of it, but that car was then brought back to the pits here, and testing could resume. They got the green flag and they're out again on track now. Lewis topping the timesheets, but I'm sure that'll chop and change throughout the day as the teams make the most of the upgrades they've brought here for this final weekend. And the drivers out there today, well, this is their last chance before Melbourne. They'll swap over and hand the cars over to their teammates for the final day tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Well, you can see...
Just 2 days of testing left for all the Formula One teams before they head to Australia for the start of the 2013 season. And Rachel Brooks is at the Circuit de Catalunya. Rachel.
Yes, John, and I can tell you Lewis Hamilton's gone quickest so far on this penultimate day of testing. He's recorded a 1:20.558, and if you bear in mind that his qualifying lap for pole at the Grand Prix last year was a 1:21.7, you have to ask whether or not Mercedes are showing their hand now. Lewis Hamilton maybe got something to prove to those at McLaren, and he's certainly set a very quick time today. Esteban Gutierrez, the next fastest, with a 1:22.66, almost, well, over 2 seconds slower. And then we get Mark Webber in the Red Bull today, has done a 1:23.4, but on the medium tyres, Lewis and Esteban on the softs today. We've drawn quite a crowd here in the paddock. I'm standing outside Toro Rosso, and Daniel Ricciardo seems to have drawn rather a large crowd around us as I talk to you, Daniel. You're not driving today, so what are you doing at the circuit today?
Trying not to attract crowds, but no, just basically listening how, John Erick's in the car, and just listening what they're changing, and try and understand as much as I can for myself as well how the car's progressing. And I'm in the car tomorrow, so it's useful for me as well to know what they've tried today, and if they found something positive, then to sort of keep it in the back pocket for tomorrow if we're struggling or looking for things to try.
This car's looked quick here. A lot of teams don't show their hand until the end. Some leave it right until Melbourne, but your car has looked quick. Is it really that quick, or have you made that bigger step forward, or are you pushing it already?
It's still, to be honest, a bit unknown. I think, what everyone else is doing as well is unknown, but I don't think we've shown our full potential yet. I'm hoping the Mercedes have this morning, because it's a very quick time they posted with Lewis. But, looking at us, I think we've been pleased with what we've done over the winter as a team, and there's definitely still some, progress to be made. But I think in Melbourne we'll see how it all shapes up, and confident for that to go well.
How much has the weather affected it? You must be itching to get back in the car tomorrow in the dry weather. This rain has blighted plans somewhat.
Yeah, it has. It's good to get out there in the wet and to get a feel of the car in those tricky conditions. But in terms of testing, it does restrict you somewhat. We had quite a big program to get through the past 4 days, and it's put it on the back foot a bit. But the weekend looks nice today and tomorrow, so hopefully get as much done as we can. Long runs are important. Race simulations, I think they're going to take place this afternoon and tomorrow afternoon, so that's a priority as well.
And just finally for me, we've heard there's been a lot of driver movement around the paddock in terms of to the teams, and your team was settled a long time ago, midway through last year. How much does that help you prepare for the season and get through this winter pre-season testing?
Definitely helps. It was the earliest I've ever known about my future, and it helps. It doesn't make you relax, so to speak, but you definitely know where you are. You know what to aim for, basically, and everything's set out on the table, and you just have to then do what you have to do to make it all work as best as possible. But it makes you sleep a bit easier, and in a way I feel a bit sorry for the guys that are just finding out now what they're doing. It is very late, and ideally you want to know earlier rather than later.
Well, Daniel, thank you very much for joining us today. All the best for tomorrow in the car, and we'll hopefully talk to you after that and find out how you got on. But at the moment, Lewis tops the timesheets, and we're hearing that Romain Grosjean is returning to the track now to take over in the Lotus this afternoon due to Kimi Raikkonen being unwell. We'll keep you updated throughout the day here.
Rachel, thanks for...
Much better weather conditions in Barcelona today, where the penultimate day of testing for the Formula One teams took place ahead of the opening Grand Prix in Australia. And it was Lewis Hamilton who was fastest in the Mercedes. He completed 117 laps with his best time 0.7 seconds quicker than his rivals. Felipe Massa posted the second quickest lap for Ferrari. His day was cut short when he lost a wheel driving down the back straight this afternoon. Careless. New Force India driver Adrian Sutil also had a good day. 109 laps for the German as he gets used to his car ahead of Melbourne later this month. Mark Webber was driving for Red Bull, who paraded a new front wing. World champion Sebastian Vettel will take over tomorrow for the final day of testing. Pastor Maldonado and Valtteri Bottas shared the driving for Williams, who showed off some new rear bodywork design. Not such a good day for Lotus, though. Kimi Raikkonen was suffering from food poisoning, so Romain Grosjean flew back from Paris to drive for a third straight day. He managed 45 laps and was 10th quickest.
Are we right to be impressed with the pace we've seen today from the Mercedes?
I don't think it's any need to be impressed or anything. I think everyone's doing their own programs and everyone's on different fuel loads, so it's just another testing day for us, really.
Would you say you're leaving here more or less confident than you expected to be?
Neither, really. I think we came through all the tests and we got all the programs that we wanted to do done. We got through all the testing, certain components, and obviously our upgrade has been positive. It's a small step forward today, which was really good for us. And the guys are working really hard back at the factory, and also here we're working really well in the garage. So overly, I'm very, very happy on a lot of levels, to be honest.
Barcelona earlier, and he was all smiles after the penultimate day of testing before the Australian Grand Prix.
With so little time left before the first race, those not in the cars did not want to be far away. Sebastian Vettel and Nico Rosberg kept a close eye on their teammates as Lewis Hamilton and Mark Webber took advantage of the first dry running of the week. Hamilton posted the fastest time of the day early on. Are we right to be impressed with the pace we've seen today from the Mercedes?
I don't think it's any need to be impressed or anything. I think everyone's doing their own programs and everyone's on different fuel loads, so it's just another testing day for us, really.
Hamilton's quick lap on the soft tyres was 9/10 faster than the lap that secured provisional pole for him in last year's Grand Prix. But while the Mercedes became the talk of the paddock, Hamilton was giving nothing away.
We came through all the tests and we got all the programs that we wanted to do done. We got through all the testing, certain components, and obviously our upgrade has been positive. It's a small step forward today, which was really good for us. And the guys are working really hard back at the factory, and also here we're working really well in the garage. So overly, I'm very, very happy on a lot of levels, to be honest.
Felipe Massa was closing down the Mercedes all day, and once onto the super soft tyres, got within 0.8 of a second of Hamilton, before an errant wheel cut his day short. Pastor Maldonado, who won the Spanish Grand Prix here in the Williams last year, finished the day 4th fastest. So is a strong showing on the Barcelona track a sign of things to come?
I mean, this is a good track to test and to give you a rough idea of where, you know, if your car's good here, then it should be in a lot of places throughout the year. But I mean, I just look at their car last year. Obviously, it was quick in Monaco, so well, the street circuits should be quite competitive. And then when it comes to the downforce circuits, I mean, it's quite tough there. And the most important thing, I guess, is whilst single lap pace can be easily achieved, it's more so the long run pace is going to be the tough one.
The question is, have Mercedes shown their hand? One team that definitely hasn't is Red Bull, which looks much more impressive than their 7th place on the timesheet suggests. Tomorrow, again in warm, dry conditions, Sebastian Vettel will drive the car for the last time before he defends his title in Melbourne. Rachel Brooks, Sky Sports, Barcelona.